Good afternoon. This is the book addiction tag. There are partisan questions which I be honored to answer for you. What is the longest amount of time you can comfortably go without picking up a book? The entire duration of that famous overture by Rosny is how long I can comfortably go without picking up a book. How many books do you carry on your person, physical or device at any one time? I prefer to carry over a dozen physical editions while I travel. Do you keep every book you buy or receive, or are you happy to pass them on to make space for more? I I have double shelved my bookcase and that evidently has room for other books I might receive as gifts. It does not appear very likely, but then hope is a thing of feathers. My apologies. How long would you spend in a bookshop in a standard visit? Well, now, typically in an excellent bookstore, I suppose I would spend as long as it takes William Ashkenazi, for instance, to finish an Adagio or an Allegro, anything for that matter. His playing is a very embodiment of visceral pianissimo, and I, at the moment, cannot describe the visceral experience of entering into a bookshop well enough, or better than that. But then again, in a standard bookstore that does not contain the likes of Epictetus, Juvenal, Marshall, Pope, or a good edition of Pope, I mean to say, or the Greeks, the Latins, the French ones, Molière, Balzac, Zola, or if they do not contain non-fiction by the likes of Auden, Chesterton, Carlyle, I don't suppose I would really last longer in a bookstore than it takes for any standard or any decent musician to play through the entire overture by Rossini, that famous William Tell overture, I mean. Now for another one. What was that? My apologies. Excuse me. How much time per day do you actually spend reading? Now, at the risk of you all casting an evil eye upon my life, I must confess I live the quintessential literary life. That is to say, I have time enough on my hands to perpetually have a book in my hands. How many books do you reckon you own in total, including ebooks? Well, these books, there are three shelves of this sort that I could not fit in the frame at the moment. Well, these volumes, I suppose, number in hundreds. Evidently, in hundreds, apparently, to be more precise, some odd 600 volumes. I do have over 600 volumes in total. Since it took me a couple of years of my writing life, only a couple of years of my writing life to acquire these many books, I would soon enough qualify as a certified self-professed bibliomaniac. In any case, I'll just move on. Where does the task picking up a book appears on your daily to-do list? I thoroughly despise to-do lists. It is a gem of the Epicurean school of entrepreneurship that originated somewhere around the late 90s and the early 2000s in my own country. I cannot speak for the West. I despise to-do lists. Approximately how often do you bring up books and conversation? I'm the sort of conversationist who do not usually prefer to be cast out among these sociable peers. And so it is that I do include books in every couple of sentences whenever I get to socialize. That is more of a pretentious vice than it is more of ostentation than a true show of some true scholarly streak in me. But it is what it is. As one really prominent philosopher in the States professed a few months ago. It is what it is. What is the biggest book page count you have finished reading? Well, I have finished my copy of Boswell's Johnson and a couple of volumes of Proust's In Search of Lost Time, the Moncrief translations, which with their announced sentences, subordinate clauses, is a fairly lengthy read, I assure you. And of course, I don't seem to have that many big books that would conventionally be deemed big. I don't have that many of those. Is there a book you had to get your hands on against all odds? Each of these books in my library were acquired with some patience. These are not rare books by any means, they are not obscure titles, but by the standards of Indian distributors, Indian booksellers, they are scarcely to be had. And so I had to be a lot more discernible to lay my hands on them. Is there a book you struggled to finish because you refused to DNF? Since I curate my book purchases, each of my book purchases well enough before I make the purchase itself, I never tend to struggle to finish a book. And I have no idea what the term DNF is connotative of. I know what it is denotative of, but I have no clue what it is connotative of. What are some of your main book goals for 2020 or 21 if you have started planning? I have not started planning. I believe in spontaneity, and so does my life. Have you ever had the privilege of converting someone into a reader by inspiration or your incessant nagging? I do not nag. I do not believe in imposing my axiology on the axiology of others, even the non-existent ones. But not really. The people I live with, they are already bibliophiles. They don't need me to convert them into ones. Describe what books mean to you in 5 words. Despite being a writer of books, I am no slave to concession. Primarily because concession is one virtue I consider beyond my means. And so it is that I must apologize for not being able to, for not having been able to describe it in 5 words alone.